So thanks again for taking the time to do this, Courtney. Feel free to introduce yourself, and I'll start with the first question of how long have you been a caregiver and who are you a caregiver for?
Okay, my name's Courtney, and I live in St. Augustine, Florida. And I help take care of my father, who's 83, who's had dementia since probably like a good 15 years. So,
Okay. And then where does your father live? Is he living with you or is he in a facility?
right now he's living at home, yes, with
Okay.
me.
Okay. And has that changed in the past, over the past couple of years? Or
He usually just lives with my mom,
okay.
and so we all have kind of merged, but they're going to get their own house and move because affording a memory care facility is quite expensive. So,
Absolutely. Okay. Now, so are you the sole caregiver, or are you caregiving with your mom, for example, or other members of the family?
it's me and my mom.
Okay.
He
Okay.
has 3 sons, but they all live in Connecticut, so they come down 2 days a year and think that they've helped.
Okay. Well, I guess between you and your mom, then how does task management work? And so how do you two divvy up things?
Well, because I work all day, so she kind of
Mm.
handles, the all day interaction. I'm kind of like on night duty because he's semi-nocturnal.
Oh, really?
So, and I help her when she needs a break. She'll go
Mhm.
somewhere, she'll take a nap, and I'll sit with him and try to entertain him as much as I can.
Sure. Okay. And do you mind walking me through what a period of that is? So, like, how a day in his life and the experience that you guys have with caregiving?
Well, every day is different.
Mm.
Um, Sometimes he's up for 3 days at a time, like 72
Wow.
hours straight. Sometimes he sleeps for like 2 days straight. Um, he usually wets the bed because he takes his Depends off, and then he'll eat breakfast and go back to bed. And if he's not, then he sits up and asks questions, the same ones over and over all day until you're ready to pull your hair out. And he doesn't try to wander. That's the only thing. And he's not violent, but he just asks questions all day
Okay.
long until you're ready to kill yourself.
Okay. Okay.
And he
Well,
never knows where he is. He always wants to go home. He doesn't know
okay.
where he is. He's always looking for his dead sister, dead brother.
Okay.
He's looking for his parents. He wants to call his high school girlfriend. Where do we live? Where do we live? Where am I? Is this your house? He wants to know where my ex-husband is because he thinks we're still married. He thinks my daughter is his. So it's like
Okay.
Groundhog's Day, my mom calls it.
In those situations, are there certain things that you can say that provide some resolution to those questions, or is it continuing to have the conversations regularly?
I mean, I know you're supposed to agree because that helps instead of
Hmm.
correcting, but it's just, even if you agree, it just comes back again and again and again. So
No,
it's
that's
exhausting.
totally. I can imagine. Okay. I guess in line with that, what do you think is the most challenging part about being a caregiver?
Probably just worrying about burnout. Like my mom, she had taken care of him for a long time, and she ended up having a brain hemorrhage
Oh.
a couple of years ago. She was in the hospital for 2 months, and I was totally in charge of him. So I had to take FMLA, and then once I went back to work, I had to get him a sitter.
Mhm.
So it's just, I don't know. It's just everything's challenging, really. Trying to get him to eat, take his medicine, like not burn out,
Mhm.
not be mean. But I mean,
Mhm.
you're supposed to be compassionate, but it gets to a point where you're just beyond frustrated.
I totally. Okay. And I guess on the other side of that, what are some of the more rewarding parts or experiences that you've had that you've enjoyed?
No, I don't think there's any.
No, okay. Totally fair. No. Awesome. Okay. Now, so in terms of advice that you'd provide to somebody who's recently becoming a caregiver, what
Mhm.
would you share?
I would say make sure that you have a system and you have help
Okay.
because you will totally burn out and you will lose your mind.
Okay. And then I guess in line with the systems and tools, so are there tools that you use regularly to support you and your mom?
No,
No.
I don't know if
Okay.
there are any out there.
Okay. No, totally fair. So if there was something or if there's any assistance that you think would be able to help you, what are the things that you're looking for? Or what would you be?
It'd be nice to have some sort of tracker so that we can see, like, keep track of when he's up, when he's down. I mean, I guess I could just write it on a calendar, but just to kind of be like, okay, he's up or he slept for an hour or he's down for 13 hours, or, just so we can kind of figure out a pattern of it, if there is one. A pill tracker would be good too, because apparently he is not taking his pills regularly.
Okay.
Or he'll put them in his mouth and spit them on the floor because he thinks that we're poisoning him.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I guess while you're at work, for example, in the day, what's the transparency like between you and your mom, or if any concerns come up, or understanding of your dad's day to day there?
Well, usually I get home and she's like, "Thank God you're home." But like she has to have surgery on Monday, and she's like thinking about getting a sitter. Unless
Mhm.
he's up all night, then he sleeps all day, then we can leave him home. But
Okay.
otherwise, I mean, it's like he's only wandered like once, twice,
Okay.
2 or 3 times. He's kind of afraid to go outside. I worked with a friend that works for home health, and he was able to get me some home health stuff through Medicare.
Okay.
And we had a speech therapist come in and put giant like stop signs on all the doors. So like,
Wow.
don't go in the garage, don't go out the front door. And those
Okay.
have seemed to work. But he still thinks the garage is the bathroom, even though we've lived in the house a year. He goes in the pantries, just everything. Every day is a new day.
Okay. No, it's interesting because other caregivers I've spoken to, for example, leaving the premises or the home is one of the biggest concerns. So whether that's like a tracker that they have on the individual to be able to understand if they're leaving or not, I think that's really interesting. Okay.
We're not there yet. I'm
Okay.
sure it'll come, but he has COPD, so he
Okay.
doesn't walk well as it is. So even if he got out, I don't think he knew he could go very far.
Okay. And then in terms of the things that your father loves to do, are there certain activities that really bring him joy in the day, or like whether it's an old thing, music perhaps, or anything like that?
He watches television. He'll read a book.
Okay.
I don't even know if he's reading it though. He just opens to a random page and looks at it. He
Okay.
used to love to read, and he did like woodworking and stuff, but he was an aerospace engineer in his job.
Oh, wow.
But he just sits on the couch and kind of stares into space and sleeps and eats, and that's pretty much it. He really has no interest in anything. I bought him a busy board. I thought that might, but he didn't even touch it.
Okay.
So
Okay. Now, I guess moving forward in terms of care for you and your mom that you're providing, what would be a preference for you? Would it be having your father continue to live with y'all, or perhaps moving to a facility? What would be best for you guys, and what would be best for him in the future?
I think a facility would be best, but I mean, it's like
Hmm.
$6,000 a month,
Hmm.
and then my mom would go broke, and she's
See,
still healthy. So
I would love some more clarity on that side because I mean, we are a company based out of Toronto. I'm currently in Toronto. However, I'm doing my education in the States, as I mentioned. So I'm trying to understand the care breakdown. I know in Toronto, there's a very large wait list for care facilities where a lot of
oh,
people are having to stay home. What's it like there?
there's no wait list. If you say you want
Interesting.
to get in, you get in.
It's
There's
a
a bunch.
cost situation.
It's the cost. Yeah,
Mhm.
there are about 3 memory care units in this area. And they're nice, like, we've toured them and
Mhm.
everything, I mean, but they're like $6,000 a month,
Wow.
I mean, that's, like, their entire income plus.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you just deplete all your money going in, but there's no wait, but
Hmm.
Medicare doesn't cover anything. There
Hmm.
is, absolutely no option unless you do, like, a home health type thing, and you can get Medicare to reimburse it, or we have hospice, and they'll come in, but then they only come, like, 1 day a week for an hour, and then they'll reevaluate you and say that you're too high functioning and kick you out.
Okay.
Um, and then the other alternative is hiring someone, but last time we did that, that cost $3,000 a month, and that was just 9 to 5. And it's when he's wild is usually at night.
Okay. So that was
So,
somebody who would come in and assist with the daily tasks of ensuring
hmm
medications and etc.
hmm
Okay.
yeah, they
Okay.
would
And
sit with them. We have pay someone to come twice a week to give him a shower.
okay.
If he decides to get out of bed. Today we had a podiatrist come in and cut his toenails. So he rarely leaves the house,
Okay.
but people come to him.
And how are those interactions? Do you think he feels more comfortable with you and your mother, or how is he feeling with other individuals coming in the home?
He's fine. He takes the shower with the other girl. He doesn't care.
Okay. Okay.
So,
Awesome.
he never knows who she is every time she comes in, but
Okay. So if you could take a guess or a gander on how you think your father's feeling on most days, is it hard to tell? Is there an emotion that you would place towards him, or how would you describe that?
he's pretty upbeat. But like the other day, he kept asking my mom, like, what's wrong? What's wrong? And then he's like, what's wrong with your mother? Is it me? Blah, blah, blah. And you could tell he's kind of down. Like he's kind
Mm-hmm.
of depressed. He takes Zoloft, but he's very depressed. You could tell like when my mom yells at him and stuff, he just kind of is like, kind of frustrated. It makes him sad. And But generally he's an upbeat person. He just gets, kind of, I don't know, he's kind of depressed, I think.
Okay. Now, I guess so. What are some of your biggest caregiver concerns? I guess I would say. So you mentioned burnout and sort of the task management aspect. I think I would say it also the financial concern of moving towards a facility is
Mhm.
something. What about the sort of the physical and mental health burden and strain for us as a company? That's something that we are really trying to address with caregivers and provide tools to be able to reduce some of that burden. Do you feel like that's something that's impacting your day to day?
In what regard?
The burden of caregiving for your father and sort of the responsibility placed on you as well as your mother.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, physically, I mean, you can't get a good night's sleep because he's up
Okay.
yelling all night, so you're exhausted. And then you have to go through the whole daily routine. I mean, I don't know, it's just the whole thing is just ridiculous. I don't know. It takes a toll on everything.
Okay.
That's why I'm moving out. I'm building a
Okay.
house next door to them. So we'll
Okay.
be close, but not in each other's space because I need to sleep. I have a 3-year-old, and
Okay.
we can't have Pop running around with no underwear and screaming all night.
Okay.
But I'll still be there. Like, I'll go over there all the time and help.
For sure. Okay. And then I guess in terms of the support you're getting from your employer, or do you feel like you have support on that side to be able to perhaps leave if you need to go for caregiving or understand the things that you're dealing with?
Yeah, absolutely. There's no
Oh,
problem.
wonderful.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're
Okay.
very good.
Okay, that's awesome to hear. Um, I would say, as a larger question, what's a misconception that people or caregivers may have around dementia and living with dementia? For example, if somebody's seeing a fact on the news or trying to understand the space as a caregiver and living with somebody living with the disease, what's something that you would like to I would say clear up or just to make very clear?
I would just say it's hard to like identify because you can't see the progress when you have it every
Mhm.
day in your face. So but when you start to look back, you notice like the decline, and little things just become very difficult. And they're things that you wouldn't expect, like opening a gift on Christmas. You can't figure out how to unwrap the paper or something.
Mm,
So it's just, I mean, it's just, you just start to take notice of things. I mean, I don't know. It's just a horrible disease. You kind of see like the person just become like a shell.
mhm,
So, but there's nothing you can do either.
mhm.
You can try things like Aricept and stuff like that, but that makes them sick.
Mhm.
So, you know, it's
Okay.
just, you kind of just have to figure out your routine and try not to lose your patience and, you know,
Okay. Now, I guess in terms of sort of what your father uses on a regular basis, is there any integration or ability to use, let's say, an iPad or a cell phone or any ways to interact with tech or communicate?
him?
Yeah.
No, he thinks the remote is the phone.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, no, no.
Okay. Yeah.
He can use
Now,
the TV remote.
okay.
Um, what else can he do? He broke my mom's computer playing with it. He used to be able to use a computer.
Okay.
I mean, he used it all the time. He used to play online poker on like Yahoo
Okay.
every night after dinner. So I mean,
Oh,
he
wow.
could type emails and everything and browse the internet, but now he has no idea what he's doing.
Okay. And then that ability to use tech, how would you, over a time period, would you say that's been through the entire course of the diagnosis and living with the disease, or was there a rapid decline at any point?
Um, well, like a year ago, he could sit on the computer
Oh,
and
wow.
click. So
Okay.
it's been recent.
Okay.
He just doesn't understand. He tried to eat the mouse the other day. My
Okay.
mom's mouse on her laptop. He put it in his mouth and bit it.
Okay.
It's plastic. I don't know. It doesn't look like a hamburger. I don't know what was going through his head, but so yeah,
Okay.
that's pretty much a rapid decline.
Okay, fair. And I guess in terms of your time being a caregiver, what are some of the biggest lessons that you've learned? Or if you were to share any takeaways for somebody else, perhaps becoming a caregiver right now, or
Yeah.
how would you sort of bridge that conversation?
I would just, say make sure you take time for yourself. Try not to lose your patience because you
Hmm.
will, and it's frustrating. And then people in addition to having dementia, my dad can't hear for being. So by the time you actually explain it and he understands, you're yelling at the top of your lungs. So you have to learn how to keep your patience, try to find your support group and, have a system in place because people don't want to be involved in this kind of thing. You lose friends and, family tries to distance themselves and stuff because they just don't want to deal with it.
Mhm.
And they don't
Okay.
really understand unless they're there. So
Okay.
people tend to back away from the dementia diagnosis.
I think, yeah, that's a really good question to bring up. How's your family dynamic outside of, I don't know the larger scale of your family and the amount of like moving parts involved, but has it become closer of you, your mother and your father, or is the whole family still coming to visit, or what's that sort of experience like?
My mom's kind of estranged from her side of the family.
Okay.
His side, he just has the three boys up north, and I talk to them
Mhm.
now all the time, like
Okay.
once a week at least, which I never did before, but just to kind of keep them up to date on him.
Okay.
And he used to call them every Sunday, but they don't call him. They don't, they visit like maybe at the most like 5 days a year.
Okay.
So, you know, it's, but one of them has his mother living with him. So he's a caregiver for his mom.
Okay.
And then the other two, they're just busy. So, but I'm closer with them, but I don't know, they don't help.
Okay. And then in terms of sort of the resources on the community side that you may have, I know I saw a post from you in Dementia Aware on Facebook, and that's how I was able to reach out. Are you feeling like you're able to reach out and meet caregivers for support on Facebook or other sort of channels, or are there groups that you look to for support?
There are dementia support groups, and I've tried to encourage like my mom to attend those.
Hmm.
But I've never attended because it's so different for everybody. It's hard because some people like don't talk and some people just ask questions and some people are incontinent and some people can't walk and some people can walk and some are wandering. So it's hard to, you know, it's probably better to take him to see like a neurologist or something. But no, we don't really take advantage of that kind of stuff. Plus with COVID, all the groups are shut down now. So
Yeah, I guess that transitions into two things related to current events. Sort of how has the pandemic affected care for y'all, and then also how have the protests around the Black Lives Matter movement affected sort of caregiving as well, and the current state in Florida.
uh really hasn't affected that at all.
Okay.
I mean, the only difference here, I work in a hospital, so the only difference is when he comes for his doctor's appointments, he has to wear a mask. I mean, but everything else, like our home health thing was already over, by the
Mm.
time the COVID thing happened. So it's not like they didn't come in the house anymore. But I mean, nothing's really changed. He leaves the house like once every 3 weeks. So
Okay. Okay, awesome. And then I guess one last question for you is: are there any sort of podcasts that you listen to, or books, or resources that have been really helpful to be able to understand more about the disease, or at least becoming a caregiver, or have you learned a lot on your own?
I've learned it mostly on my own. It's kind of trial and error taking care of him. Like if he today, he doesn't want to take a shower, I have to be the one that, you know, talks to him and convinces him to take the shower. If he won't get out of bed to go to a doctor's appointment, I have to call him and, try to get him to get up and go. And it's just kind of day by day. My mom read that one, what is it, the 25-hour day or
Hmm.
something like that. She read that book, but she just finds it all depressing. So she doesn't like to, delve in more than she has to on her day-to-day basis.
Okay.
So
Okay. Well, that was everything that I wanted to ask. Thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it. Okay.
okay.